Hey lovables, welcome back. Hello again. Perhaps I should say Happy New Year, and I hope you had a lovely Christmas season and a great Valentine's Day, because it's been a really long time since I have posted anything on my channel. So here's hope this finds the right person. I would be at church today, but I'm not feeling very well. Got another cold or something, so to protect other people in case I'm contagious, I've decided to stay at home, so I won't be worshipping at the latest church that I've decided to join. The purpose of this video is, well, A, standing up for myself, B, telling the truth, C, and mostly I want to help other people, especially young people who may find themselves watching this, and I hope they do, because I really want to explain how you can help yourself if you find yourself in a similar situation to what I found myself in when I was a child. There is nothing new under the sun, is there? So I know there are other people who are going through or are about to be going through similar things. And I want to say what happened to me and how I didn't handle it very well and how you could handle it better if those circumstances, or different circumstances, but a similar thing happened to you. Okay, so here we go. What I want to talk about is about how I found myself living in a totally new neighbourhood in Dunedin, New Zealand, where I grew up. We went from Pine Hill to the student area in Queen Street. 134 Queen Street was the address. And unfortunately, I see that last weekend, a young lady who I assume is a student was raped. And senior police are still talking about taking responsibility and locking doors as if it's the victim's fault. Not good, but perhaps that's my first point. Don't you listen to what other people say when they're victim blaming. Have courage in yourself, tell the truth. Of course you have to forgive, but yeah, do those things first. Anyway, a little tangent. So there I was, 1970, and I remember just being near my home. I had probably got sick of being on my own and gone out for a walk, actually, because that's something that my parents did. I don't know where they went with my two brothers, one older, one younger, but I found myself often left at home by myself without anyone telling me where they were going. And yeah, I see now that it wasn't normal, but to me it was just the way it was, and it was normal. And perhaps it was for a lot of other kids of my age and my generation. Yeah, I missed out being a Generation X by a couple of years, so I am technically a baby boomer. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, okay. And this young girl started talking to me. She was chubby, blonde hair. There was no one else around, so we struck up a conversation. And I spent some time with her over the next sort of few weekends or wherever. We would go up to, I think it's called Prospect Park, which you could kind of reach by going behind our houses and up there, and would, you know, play on the monkey bars and the swing. And a couple of times she would ask me if I wanted an ice cream. And I didn't really, but yeah, what kid doesn't like ice cream? Then was she like, oh no, we don't need money. I can just go down to the shop. Our shop's got, our family's got an order. Not that I knew what that meant. So anyway, I'd walk down to McCracken's store. It's now called Willowbank. But it was on the corner of Duke Street and George Street, Dunedin North End by George Street School, where I went. And I remember waiting outside. She came out with a couple of tubs of tip-top ice cream, and or maybe we got those first and then went to the park. I don't know, I can't remember. But there were a couple of times when that happened, and I don't know, I guess something must have been said to my parents, because I've worked out now that she was not supposed to just go down and get herself stuff and put it on the family grocery order at the shop without the parents' permission, kind of thing. So yeah, there was one time when my brother came along. I'm wondering now if my parents told him to do that, and he said no to an ice cream because she was like, yeah, we kind of had to go down there, and I ate my ice cream, she ate hers, and she ate the one that Mark didn't want. And so then it was like, I didn't know that this was anything I might have been doing wrong. It was her idea. I didn't know any better than to say no because I can't pay you back or anything like that. I didn't get pocket money. And I guess neither did she. But she was very fond of ice cream. So I have this memory of Mr. McCracken coming outside and just standing over me and glaring at me. And I see now it was certainly Jane's idea that I would look like the one who was making her do it, or the one to blame, when I was actually quite innocent of that. But I was new in the street, they didn't know me. Whatever was said, I got the blame. And so I didn't really see her anymore. And then there was a day when I was walking to D&I school, and I encountered the milkman, and he called out to me, and he didn't sound very friendly at all, so I wasn't going to go up close to him, but he kept saying, accusing me of stealing milk money, because in those days you'd leave out the glass milk bottles with change in it, and apparently money had been going missing, and he was insisting that it was me. He kept going on and on and on, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I have not been stealing milk bottle money. It didn't occur to me who it was. But anyway, he just wouldn't stop. I was in a hurry to get to school. I remember him after a bit actually rolling a cigarette in this sort of leisurely way, and come on now. He kept saying, come on now, it was you, I know you did it, and all these sorts of things. It was just so creepy. And of course I was just standing there, a bit like on the bus when the driver kept saying, when you turn 15, you pay full fare, when I'd actually just turned 11. So yeah. In the end, he says to me, right, come with me. And so I followed him. And he went down to one of the big houses that are probably boarding houses now, but was just like one big giant flat, and knocked on the door, and this young woman came out, and he basically said, is this the one? And she said, no, the one I saw had a red belt. So I was like, oh, Sir Jane Elvin. Oops, I was going to try to avoid names. My bad. And then, the milkman looked really annoyed. He certainly didn't apologise. And I was really late for school. So late that I actually got given like a you're late bit of paper thing. The only one I ever got. And I can't remember if I talked about it to my parents or if that encounter with Mr. McCracken was after the milkman incident. But anyway, I see now there was cover-up going on. And, yeah, I didn't really think too much of it at the time. I do remember somebody coming up to me and introducing herself as Jane's older sister and being quite friendly and, hey, come up to my house. And, I didn't think anything of it. So I go up there and I'm just sitting there around the kitchen table. It was like a wooden villa place by the style. I didn't think anything of it. Jane wasn't there, but Mary was. I don't think she told me her name, or maybe I'm not sure, and kind of introduced me and told me the brother's name. And I remember kind of looking to my left and looking into his eyes like, like I was thinking, oh, my brother's name's Mark. Like, just totally innocent, and just the way he was looking back at me like, you. And it was making me uncomfortable. And the way his sister on the other side was looking at me also made me uncomfortable. And every time I tried to look at Mrs. Elvin, she would just turn her face away from me, like, and then I guess I dissociated a bit at that point. It was just really uncomfortable. But at the same time, it's not like I was being yelled at. Nobody was hitting me or saying anything overtly mean, but it was just a very unpleasant situation. And again, I would just wonder why after that Mrs. Wall Taunton, who used to run the dairy, I guess she owned it, at the bottom of Warrender Street across the road, she had gone from, like my mother would say to me about how Mrs. Wall Taunton had said to her about what lovely manners her children had. And because I used to get sent down there to buy a loaf of bread or whatever quite a bit, and suddenly Mrs. Wall Taunton went from being this lovely lady to just a nasty old bat, really. Like, only, these things can be subtle. Like, she would start, I would say to her, oh, could I have a loaf of bread, please? And then she would just get it back up because she didn't like me and start accusing me of, no, I'm not until you say please. I had said please. So I'd say, oh, could I have a loaf of bread, please? Or at first I'd say, I did say please, because I had nice manners. That's the way I was brought up. And so that was weird. And then at the Regent Dairy, what was it called? I can't remember. Regent Road, something, I don't know. It's something a bit different now. So yeah, I was made to look like the villain with all these businesses. The old lady who ran the dairy that was closer to the bottom of the steps that went from Duke Street up to Queen Street, or the higher numbers of Queen Street, she was getting really weird. I realise now she was a liar and a thief, basically, because I would get in trouble with my father. He thought I was helping myself to change. Like, he'd give me a 20-cent piece and I'd be sent down there to buy a jar of Lane and Thompson lemonade of whatever flavour he wanted. And I would come back and give him all the change. I mean, I'd said to him, can I spend any change? And he said no. And, I didn't want a hiding. So that's what I did. And he clearly thought I was taking money, but it was the old lady at the dairy who was just getting more and more money. I'm sure she believed the lies and genuinely perhaps thought she was doing the right thing. Or I don't know. I mean, there are some creepy people in this city, and there always have been. It's like a den of thieves. One of the only stories or poems I remember Miss Woods reading us was that Rudyard Kipling one about, telling the little kids about, just ignoring the smugglers. I mean, that was Dunedin. They were the business people. A lot of them are just not honest. And that's what these dairy owners were like to me after I was proved to be not the thief by the one who'd seen the actual culprit steal the milk money. So here's what I could have done differently at the time. I mean, this is not a pity party. It's not like even though I've never forgotten these things, it's not like I've stewed about it and felt offended and got upset. It was just what happened. It was confusing. And you move on, you get on, because only you can't get on in life because of what these people do to your life. They have it in for you. They whisper and tell lies and just really do you in, because they're all connected. And these days, it's even easier for them to be in touch with each other. They do a lot of damage, and people believe them. Rumours can be vicious, and it's hard to unhear. And there are a lot of people that think if they've heard something, then it must be true. If they hear it from someone they know and like, they'll believe it. And you won't even get asked one question before you're condemned. So this is not a pity party. I forgive everyone. What is in me is greater than he who is in the world and all his minions. Including that crazy mob at Albert Park today, honestly. So anyway, what should I have done differently? Well, for a start, I could have, for example, when I got given that late slip, I could have told my teacher, look, this is the reason why I was late. I can't remember if I was in Form 1 or Form 2, but Linda Munro would have been very understanding. So that I told somebody, I wasn't just late for no reason, or it wasn't my fault that I was late, because I was detained, waylaid by basically someone in authority over me. I was a child and he was an adult. I could also have told my parents about it, and I don't know if they would have done this, because they wouldn't have wanted to make waves. But if you're going through a situation out there like where you're being blamed for something that you're not responsible for, tell your parents. And hopefully they will, if I had told my parents, perhaps they might have rung up the milkman's whatever, or told my uncle who had a milk run, so that our family knew. Yeah, or I could have, or they could have complained on my behalf in that direction, so that at least his business organisation would know what he did. I could have gone and knocked on the door and spoken to that same lady and said, can you tell me a bit more about what you saw? Just so that I had that information, and thank her for, all she did was tell the truth, because she had seen the person and had complained. Perhaps their own milk money got stolen. So, that would have made me feel better. And, so there are these ways of coping. Because if you just think, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it, or, well, I haven't done anything wrong, so why should I worry? You do need to worry. When these things happen, it's a clue that you need to take action, because you don't know how things like that can just snowball down through the years and decades and carry on ruining your life. Clearly my reputation had gone to, I don't know why people like you and then all of a sudden hate you when you're just the same. And it's obviously because of stuff they've heard. So you have to do your own advertising campaign, if you like, because you may find yourself, like me, you start going to a church and you get bullied out. Or they like you at first, and then all of a sudden, you can tell that they've heard stuff. And they won't come up to you and say, because they don't know you, so you don't have a relationship with them for them to be able to say, are you aware that this is happening? They will just hear and believe. And that's actually already happened to me at my new church, because I thought I basically needed to stop watching church online all the time. We're supposed to fellowship according to the Bible. And I heard Isaiah Saldivar say there are no perfect churches, because as soon as you walk in, it's not perfect anymore. And there's a lot of truth to that. But when you get bullied out of a place, it's hard to be there when there's just so much, especially that undercurrent of mean girl nastiness. And, the men are just as bad. They won't help you. They'll believe the people they know better. It's just so insidious. So, a few years ago now, I tried to do the same thing again, because there are so many not very nice people in the churches, and maybe they've had reason. Maybe I've given them a reason genuinely. But before that, before they being the liars and the mean people, kind of made me feel like I just wanted to die, because that's how they make you feel. When you're deprived of opportunities, being part of a social circle or being part of a community, they won't let you work, they won't let you have friends, definitely not any kind of boyfriend, because that might lead to you having a husband and being happily married, and they don't want that. Oh no. They want you isolated, on your own, unhappy, and that way they can gloat and feel pleased with themselves, because a lot of human beings, and sometimes I've thought the nastiest people on the planet, all seem to live in Dunedin. Somebody said to me once, because I often chat, and I know I'm known for this, but there's no sinister intent. I'm known for kind of being friendly with people who run shops, but it's not to distract them because I'm trying to get away with stealing anything. It's just that I'm so starved for company and friendship. So anyway, I got talking to this one woman, and she was saying about somebody had said to her, if you can make it in Dunedin, you can make it anywhere in the world. I mean, that's what they say about New York. It's like 1,000,000 times bigger than Dunedin in New Zealand. The snake pit, crazy town, weirdo place. That is my hometown. I mean, why would you want to start a business here? You know, with so much corruption. I tried it, didn't work out well. But anyway, it's all a good learning experience, right? But yeah, getting on to how a situation like that, with the stolen milk money and the ice cream stuff, that sister, because I started going back to, it was St. James Presbyterian Church down on Prince Albert Road, or is it still King Edward? Anyway, started going there, and she turns up there. I went to Elim Church, and she turns up there. And just things got weird. I mean, I won't go into them specifically. Yeah, so I stopped going to Elim Church and went to a smaller one. Was it Flagstaff and some other thing? It was a union of churches. And up she pops there. And a while back, because I didn't go to church for ages, and then I started going to Abundant Life. And she's there for a bit. And there was this one day, I remember her just staring into my eyes and telling me that her sister was born on her birthday. Yeah, when she was a little girl, she just really, I want the baby to be born on my birthday. And her little sister was born on her birthday when she was 4. And just the way she was looking at me, it was like a snake, you know, like a kind of beautiful. I mean, she's a few years older than me, but she looks about 30 because, yeah, she's, let's just say she's taken very good care of herself. I mean, I did nothing to bully your sister, Mary, nothing like that at all. She's clearly a bold-faced liar as a child, able to just stand there and brazenly deny, blame me, and tell lies to adults in her own family. And who did she learn that behaviour from? Who did she learn that behaviour from, I wonder? Now, over the years, just the odd person has mentioned that Mark Alvin, I mean, just dropping his name around me, like just these weird people that I wasn't really taking any notice of. So it was interesting to hear on some YouTube thing, somebody say something like, you know, for their spells to work, like witches have to tell the victim what they've done. And I just thought, it's not that I thought, oh yeah, that's, it was just like, wow, that's interesting. Is that the reason? Is that why I had Sarah McAndrew with a few other people kind of hovering kind of around me and behind me outside the warehouse, talk about how, oh yeah, I'll get a phone call and, oh yeah, right, because I was dumb enough to put her as a reference for when I applied for a job at the warehouse. And of course she was the one ripping off Trade Aid and making it look like it was me. Not that she was the only one doing that. She had her friends. And funny, one of them their boyfriend came up to me. They were expecting twins together, and says to me, like in the main street, and he had a couple of his mates with him, "Oh, I'm Sonia's partner. Like, what were you expecting me to look like?" I had no clue. I wasn't doing anything wrong. Oh no, people think the one they've chosen is lovely. They're nice to them, aren't they? They couldn't possibly have a dark side and be a secret evil person to somebody who doesn't deserve it. Because I didn't deserve it. Maybe it was my snotty attitude. Because I was a bit of a loner and very cautious. I was a serious person, always have been. And sometimes things are just scary. I see now that, like the minister told me at the church I went to in Auckland, he told me he thought I had the gift of discernment. I don't really know what that meant, but the gift of discernment of spirits. You can tell when it's a good spirit. And like, yeah, when you can just, your whole body is like letting you know you're in the presence of evil to a greater or lesser degree. Sometimes it feels really urgent, like, you know, like you've just got to depart the vicinity immediately. Other times it's just, it just feels like, I don't know, like, is there a gas leak? Can you hear a kind of hissing sound, like air escaping from a balloon? It's just weird where you just can't trust what the person is saying to you. Like their body language doesn't match their words, or it can be so weird. It can just be so weird. But anyway, oh, right. So, yeah, like, why on earth would they do that? Or, as in, follow you around the churches, destroying your relationships with people. Because, yeah, they'll accept you at first, it'll be quite funny. Oh, new person in our church, great. And then it's just like, you know, and they won't tell you or give you a chance to tell your side of the story. And it's already happening at Cornerstone, where I started going at the beginning of this year. So hence this video. And I don't want anyone else to have to go through what I've been through. It was so interesting hearing that at ALC from Mary Elvin. I'm not sure if that was the session where there was a special guest whose name was either Hendrik or Hendrix. I can't remember his wife's name. Was it Amanda, Miranda? Can't remember. Anyway, I think he was German. And he was standing there in front of the congregation, if you like, like giving a word, I guess. And he was saying, there is a woman, I can't remember his exact words, but basically there is a woman in this room who, in this town, they've just had their life destroyed by gossip, something like that. And I was like, that's so me, that's so me. So yeah, I sort of went up to the front. And of course, when the ones who were doing that, I went up to the front. I mean, it was obviously a word for me. It was my message, and I was to have that prayer. But of course, I look along and I see Glenda with this kind of look on her face like, I don't like that. She used to be a cop, and yeah, that figures. And dear old Anya on my other side, and also Mary, all up at the front, you know, like a pack of 3 witches behind me to, you know, let's see if we can nullify this prayer. So it kind of got interrupted. And Hendrik turned to Mary and basically said to her something like, because he got a word for her, something about her lending a lot of money to her sister that she wasn't going to get back. And of course, I just started having kind of flashback stuff happening, and kind of like, wow, what's that about? And so interesting. Anyway, I remember, because it just made me feel unclean standing in the midst of these three women when Hendrik had called me out for prayer. So, then there was a point when, because I was just busy remembering all this stuff and kind of putting things together, like, why, and thinking, why is it so important to you that you have to take time out of your life to keep track of me and destroy my reputation all over town, all these different churches and places? Why is it so important to you? Why are people kind of mentioning your brother to me, as in, like, who are you? Like, leave me alone. So anyway, Hendrix, whatever, kept kind of calling out in his German or whatever accent, going, "Do you want to be a shrub?" And he'd said that about 3 times, and it eventually kind of dawned on me, because I could see him looking at the pastor, John Watson, and him just kind of, I guess she does then, kind of not knowing all the background. Yeah. And, guess what? Then there was the time. No wonder they hate me at Dunedin Hospital. No wonder. I go down there, I'm just sort of looking through the racks, and there's Mary Alvin's photo on a leaflet about the admin. She works in the administration department at the hospital. Goodness me. Michael Swan, is that his name? He obviously didn't work alone. And, because I used to think that, they're just being catty. This is about male attention or just intention in general when people are being mean. Actually, no. Often it's because they're embezzlers and thieves, and they don't want you to know. They want to totally destroy your credibility and your reputation to cover their tracks. And boy, they've succeeded admirably. I mean, it's been all these years, all these decades. I wonder how much money has been drained out of that hospital. How many kids haven't got their operations? How many old people haven't had their hips replaced or the varicose veins done that they used to do? How many people have lost out because of these thieves in town? And when is Dunedin going to do something about it and judge, or at least call to account, the people that they should be, instead of people that are just trying to get on with their lives in a decent kind of way? And I've made my mistakes. I've got really drunk and acted like an idiot, and just sometimes I haven't been terribly civil, because, it's funny. It's amazing what disgusting behaviour gets excused because people mind their P's and Q's, or they don't raise their voice, or they just cover their tracks so well. So when that sort of thing happens to you, you have to do the work. Talk to people. Like, if I was at church today, I would go up to Ross and say to him, gee, like, I'm finding it a bit disturbing, the look you get on your face and the way you avoid eye contact when when I pass by or whatever. When normally it would be, hello, like, you know, you might even have said, oh, I heard you did a good job. Thanks for helping out renovating the church in Caversham. Because I did do a good job. I mean, clearly, yeah. There's another story, which I might make a part 2, as in how to survive your or your church family home group, and give you a few tips for that. But in the meantime, I think I want to leave this here. I don't want it to be too long. But yeah, just understand that you need to take action. Don't just think, well, I've done nothing wrong. They're telling lies. You have to combat their lies with truth. Ask God to help you. Ask God to help your reputation. Every day, say something like this. I put on the helmet of salvation. I place my feet into the shoes of the gospel of the preparation of peace. I gird my loins with courage and put on the belt of truth. I don the breastplate of righteousness. I take into one hand the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, sharper than any two-edged blade on earth that can sever spirit from soul. I take into my other hand the shield of faith with which to extinguish all the fiery darts of the enemy Satan, and every single last scheme, plan, trick, prank or lie of his minions, the devil's minions, the lot of them. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And on my back to protect my comings and goings, so that I'm blessed when I go in and blessed when I come out, I put on the cloak of praise, because Father in heaven, you are so worthy to be praised. Thank you for your creation. Thank you for life. Thank you for this beautiful world. Thank you for sending your Son to live a sinless life, die on the cross, and rise again after 3 days, so that all who believe in him shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. Protect me, love me, hold me in your arms, protect me, hide me in the cleft of the rock and under your wings. Amen. Because, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, he who is in me is stronger than he who is in the world. And yeah, I really wish you all the best with coping with your own life. You can survive being a social pariah. You can rise above the rumours. It might take a long time. I mean, you know, you may never have the life. And yeah, I mean, I've obviously missed out on the life that God would have had me live. And that's because of being traumatized by stuff like this. And a lot of that is frustration at your own self because you took no action. Christianity is not about cowardice. Nowhere does it say in the Bible that we're supposed to be doormats. So anytime somebody, well, you're supposed to be a Christian, just say to them, well, with all due respect, what would you know about being a Christian? Anyway, so there you have it. Keep your chin up, keep smiling if you can, and yeah, all the best. God loves you, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Bless you. Until the next time. Bye-bye, lovables.